Anyway, our next strip will add across the bottom here and then up the side. And then when we add the one across the top, we will have this folded back and sew to here. And then we'll open this up. We'll unpin this, open it up, and sew all the rest of the way. Sorry, I lost you guys. I'm going to wait and see if anybody comes back. There we are. So I'm going to have to make the other 3 sides, and Saturday I will have those done. We can work on, I'm hesitant to work on them right now because if I'm going to do this into 4, actually I'll just do this one. I can do another one with all 4 hearts. Then that way I'll have 2. But I need to set these in order for my other 3 rows. So we'll have 1, 2, this is the last, well, so much fun when your phone doesn't want to stay connected. Let's see, the next one is the gold. I'm just following the order of this one. I really like to do these in order. So like I said, I don't have to think. I can just do them. Reach off the top of the stack. And since I'm making these in a patterned, we'll do the rest of these. So we're ready to go. Good afternoon, Peggy. Let's see. I'm wondering if anybody has made this block before. What's my next one? Oh, we're not trained. We're not. Oh, that's right. When I cut these, when I cut my fabric the other day, I didn't know which ones I was going to use and which ones not. So I had extras cut. And this one, this one, and the last one. There's 8 per strip. There we go. Now, if I can just get my phone to hold in place, and it won't. That's got to be fun. Anyway, let's see. We'll set these aside. There's one. I am not going to chain piece these. You can. We're done with those. And here we go. And done with those completely. Whoops. One of these stacks is missing the last piece. That one. This is a good one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm missing one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they're all there. Okay. So I like to set them over here on the right on my machine. I'm going to move this out of the way. Okay, and then we need to cut another strip from our main thing of foundations. And set that aside. There we have our next strip. And I am so afraid to let go of this. Well, if it falls, I apologize. I'll get it right back up. Okay, we're going to take fabric piece number 1 for the strip of flying geese, set it with the wrong side facing up, and then we're going to set the foundation on top. And you want about 1/4 of an inch of fabric to go past the line between space 1 and space 2. And on this one, you get a freebie. Set it with about 1/4 of an inch between space 1 and space 3. And then I just, instead of pinning it to hold it in place, make sure it's right, I just run a line of stitching in the seam allowance across the bottom. And then hey, Terry, hi. Okay, this one again, I gotta make sure because I want my geese to go. They're gonna go like this when I put them on the block. So this side is gonna be the light color, this side's gonna be the dark color. And it should be the same on all of them. It is, that's number 2, so that's the light one. So we will put right sides together, edges even, and then I'm going to squish it up a couple of threads to make sure that dark piece underneath doesn't give a shadow. And then turn it over and stitch on the line. And I am working on, I showed you on Tuesday, and I'll show you again. We're gonna, next week I wanna show you some hexy, there goes the phone, hexy little projects that I wanna do. I'm gonna, okay, after we stitch this, I'm gonna press it. And then, since the other side is already trimmed, we're gonna put our dark on there. And put a pin in it. Turn it over and stitch on the line. Oops. I guess got a little while there. And I know I usually figure if I put my seam ripper next to my sewing machine, I won't need it. So this one I went just a little far offline. You can see it there. So I'm going to pick it back a little bit. I can even see the stitch. Oh, there they are. And I just do it on the fabric side. And so you don't want to rip a hole in your foundation. This is the one nice thing. If I would have done that on paper in those little tiny stitches, I would have thrown it away and started over. I hated picking out those. Trust me, for years I did that. Okay, I think we got enough out. Yeah, we're back to the line. Okay, let's see if we can do this again. Start on that line. And get my pin out. Having a heck of a time getting this to stick. Press that open and come over here. Oh, right here. I don't normally work quite such tight quarters. Hopefully we'll get this set up a little bit better. Fold it back on the seam line where we're going to add piece number 4. Stick our add a quarter ruler up there. Trim that extra off. I think Tuesday I said there's a couple reasons that we trimmed. Number 1, to get a 1/4 inch to know where to set our next piece. And the second reason is you want to get rid of as much extra fabric as you can. You don't want all that bulk in your quilt. So that's the other reason. Now we'll put piece number 4 right sides together. Take it to the machine. And remember, when you set this foundation to start with, you want to make sure you can read the printing on the foundation. This particular one, well, it does matter because we're doing the dark and the light, dark on one side of the background and light on the other. So it would make a difference if you had it backwards. But this block, if your backgrounds were the same, if you did one on the wrong side, it would still work. But most blocks, no, it won't work. You'll get the exact reverse of what you want. And in most cases, that's not good. You'd have to take it all out. And so just always get in the habit when you first start. Make sure you can read the printing on the foundation and looking through it to the wrong sides of your fabric. I always say we work on the right side of the foundation, which is the side you can read, and then we look through to the wrong side of the fabric. So you can say you have 2 right sides. This is the right side of the foundation. This is the side we do all our work on. We trim on this side and we sew on this side. And this is the right side of the block. So you have a question? Somebody have a question? This right here, that is what we call a grippy straight edge. Short story. When I first started out and I was making lots of patterns, I was using a postcard, like most of us do, or a piece of cardstock, whatever, and, use it to fold back to use your add a quarter. And it's slippery. It would slip. Sometimes I'd get a real small seam allowance here. And I went up to the house and was talking to my husband about how things were going. And I said, the only problem I'm having, because I'm working so fast, which I'm not doing here, is the straight edge keeps slipping on me. And so I said it'd be nice if there was something that we could use that had a little grip to it. So an hour or two later, he came into the studio and he handed me one of these and he said, try this. And what he did is he just took a piece of cardstock and he laminated fine grit sandpaper. You don't want, it's got to be fairly fine. You don't want it too fine or it won't grip, and you don't want it too, too rough, because then it sticks to everything. And so some people at demos at shows, people were watching me use it, because when you open it up, you can actually let go of your fabric and it sticks to it. So now I notice Laura puts hers this way, grippy side down, but I have trouble because I'm not real accurate when I first set it down. But that works too. Either way, whatever you find more comfortable. But this is what we call it. You'll see it on the website. It's a grippy straight edge. And I think we're going to have a couple more colors coming soon. I'll have to share those with you when he gets them done. But that's my husband's contribution. Okay, number 5. We're going to set it right sides together. And I like to set this point right along that seam line from the previous section. Just like that. Put a pin in it. And turn it over and stitch on the line. Okay, and to the ironing mat we go. My phone's gonna fold in. I promise I'll have it fixed for Saturday. This is a learning curve for me, so I hope you'll be patient. I know what I'm doing with the foundation piecing, but if any of you tried to follow me on Tuesday, you know I am very technically challenged, and to say the least. I am trying to teach a very old dog new tricks. It's not always easy. I must frustrate my kids something fierce. But I am having fun doing this, so I hope we can get it interesting and fun. And my goal is to get this so we can do sew along. So I'm trying to plan projects ahead of time so I can let you know what we're going to do. I mentioned next week we're going to do some hexie projects. And we can revisit these anytime. If you watch this and you like what I'm doing and then you order something and want to get started on it, please send me a message or something, and maybe once a month or something, or we can go back and revisit. And of course, all of our lives are saved as videos, so you can always go back and look at them, watch them. I do try to include as many tips and tricks as I can, almost like you're taking a class. A little consolidated, more so than a class, but actually over 6 hours, you're probably going to get almost as much info out of me during three days geared to one project. So, and I'm having a lot of fun. I love teaching. I love teaching in person because it's so much fun when your students, when the light goes on, when they understand this 3-step method. Now, when I'm adding the goose itself, I like to kind of look down here and make sure that this is kind of a centered square, or you can fold the goose part in half and set it on the point or close. I mean, there's enough leeway that it doesn't have to be exact. Certainly don't stress over it. I don't want anybody to stress over any of this. So I'm hoping that we can get you all confident and having fun, because this really, once you understand the technique and you realize that cutting your fabrics is so much simpler. I think I started to talk about that earlier, about cutting for traditional piecing. I would get so nervous. I would get, my shoulders were up to my ears by the time I'd get done cutting for a quilt. And it just always seemed like it took so long to cut for a quilt, because everything's predicated on making that perfect cut. And so with this, I cut as many thicknesses as of fabric as possible at a time. When I cut for these flying geese, I had 4, I think it was 4 or 8 layers of fabric together, and cut the squares, and then turned it and cut the diagonal all at one time. Bam, they were all cut in no time. So I cut 16 squares. From each fabric, I cut 2 squares. And so I had 4 half-square triangles of each fabric that I'm using. And it just went super fast. And of course, they're not perfect. If you put them down and wanted to check for perfection, you could never use them in traditional piecing. When you, cutting 2 layers is dangerous enough in traditional piecing. So this just, I have a couple of different king-size quilts I cut for, and it took me barely over an hour to cut for the whole thing. So it goes really fast. Much more relaxing. And then, like I say, like I've shown you here, I stack all my pieces in numerical order, which is why I like to cut everything first. Remember, when we're putting light over dark, we scoot that up a couple of threads. I like to cut everything. Sometimes, well, especially in my case where I'm designing something, the first block, sometimes I'll cut for just one block to make sure everything is right. And I understand how to put it together, but then I like to cut for the whole quilt. When I do a pineapple quilt, I will, however many foundations I can lay out on a table, and then I'll cut all my fabrics and I lay everything out, make sure I like the position where the fabrics are, that I'm going to like it when it's completed. And then I stack them up in reverse numerical order. So piece number 1 is on top, and the last piece is on the bottom. And then I'll take that stack and I'll set it on the foundation itself, the single block foundation, and roll it up and put a clip on it. And in that way, when I get a chance to sew, and sometimes, you know, you only get 15 minutes to sew. If I was traditional piecing, I probably wouldn't even attempt it because it takes so long to figure out where you are and what you're doing and what goes where. And with this, I just unroll the block. I know the top piece is the next piece, piece number 1, or if I stop partway through, I just know that the next piece on the top of the stack is the next piece to be sewn. So you can actually get some sewing done in 15 minutes. And then when I'm done, if my time is up and I'm not done with the block, I just take the stack. You can see I keep my stack here. And if I'm not done, I would just like this one tonight. If this is as far as I've gotten, I'll just take these, put them there because I know this is my next piece, and just roll it up, put a clip on it. And if I don't get back, you know, sometimes you put projects away and life goes on, and before you know it, it's a month and you're coming back to that project. You know right where you are. So I call it, once I get all of my pieces cut, then to me it's like mindless sewing. And that will happen as soon as you understand and are confident with the process. Remember, I call it a 3-step process. Stitching's number 1, pressing's number 2, and then trimming is number 3. And the trimming, so then you can go back to step 1 of stitching. So we're going to trim this down. And my next piece is right here. Maybe we can get this one done and I can stitch it on and show you that. Oh, I just love it. It's so much fun every time you turn it over and you see that perfect point. Oh, that's awesome. I love it. I remember before I developed this, and actually way back when, before I really got into paper piecing, I had bought some different rulers. I followed people's tricks for making flying geese. And if I didn't use the ruler often enough, I would forget how to use it. I told you I'm not real good technically. So with this, it's just so simple. I have one I'm working on, all flying geese. If any of you are familiar with Julia McLeod, we have several patterns we've produced for her. And and I have her book, and in her book is one, oh, I'm going to screw up the name. It's something about mothers and daughters. And she used two sizes of flying geese. One is half the size of the other one. So, I don't know, 2 inch by 4 inch is what these are. And then she did 1 inch by 2 inch. So for each one of the flying geese here, going in the opposite direction, so next to it would be the 1 inch high by 2 inch. So each one of these would have two. And she named it that because she has two daughters. So the big one's mama, and the two small ones going the opposite direction are her daughters. And Julia works mostly with silks and the fancy, she recycles fabrics, the fancy fabrics. And years ago, a friend gave me a bag of remnants from a tie factory. And I had an idea of making some kind of a garment with them. And they've been sitting in the closet for years. And I decided that at first I was going to make a table runner using silks and the silk ties. And as often happens, my intentions change halfway through. I've got several rows of both sizes of the flying geese done. And I woke up in the middle of the night with this bright idea that I'm going to use them for a piece of clothing like I intended for the dark silks to be. So it's going to be flying geese, a garment with a lot of strips of flying geese. We'll see what that's like. But it's black and white. All the silk fabrics were black prints. What do you call it? Jacquards? I don't know. I think there's a couple, and they're black with white or black with red, black with royal blue. But of course, they're very, very tiny tie prints. So silk tie prints. So and then the background that I'm using throughout the whole thing is a white silk or satin, and they're very pretty. And I thought, too pretty to be. And my husband did remind me that we do drink wine, and that who wants a big red wine stain on white satin? So I thought, yeah, I think clothing would be a little bit better. So we'll see. But I'm hoping over the next few weeks to share some of those things with you. I'm trying to spread my wings a little bit with hey Laura, good afternoon. I'm trying to do other projects besides just quilts. They'll all be pieced. Everything will be pieced, but we need other things besides just quilts or table toppers and runners. There's a lot of other things. I'm doing almost done. I'll show you next week, maybe Saturday. It's journal cover. So I'm going to make myself several. I had some floral mini charm packs that Moda had sent me, and so I was planting some plants, some veggies, and we feed them, and I thought, oh goodness, I need to keep a journal on this for when I do travel, so my caretaker knows my system, knows when it's time to fertilize or when it's time to do whatever. And so I thought, I'm going to make myself a journal cover from some of that floral stuff or fabrics. And So I got that started, and then have a friend who is really into horses. And I thought, oh, it'd be neat for her to have a journal about her horses. And I have the most awesome sets of mini charm packs that are all horse related. So I'll be making one of those for her. But all kinds of neat ideas I want to share with you. And of course, there's tote bags. Everybody's into tote bags. I miss having my grandson come home from school and asking Grandma to go out with him outside so he could ride his bike. I love it. We're moving along here. Yeah, I was thinking this one is kind of a small table topper, and if you put a vase of flowers or something in the center, you're going to cover up the heart. So that's why I thought, this might be kind of cool to do the 4 and to turn each heart 90 degrees so that no matter where you sit at a table, when you're looking at it, there's going to be a heart facing you. And then that way, there's room in the middle where the flying geese meet to, if you set a vase or whatever, centerpiece, you're still going to see all your crazy hearts. So I didn't want to do all that fancy stitching and not be able to see it. Boss lady. I'm not the boss lady. Moving along here. And if you guys want to see something, special, if you're working on a project and either having trouble or want a refresher or want to see how it's done, send me a message. Let me know. I'd be happy, because if you have a question or aren't sure how to do it, I'm sure there's somebody else out there who would like to know. So don't hesitate to let me know what you want to see. I want you to enjoy this and get something out of it. Anyway, don't hesitate. And if there's something, you see on our website that we haven't done yet, in a video or a live, let us know. Oh, I guess you would like to see. Let us know. I got some catalogs yesterday from Riley Blake for new fabrics coming out at the end of the year. Oh my goodness. I have to control myself. Oh my goodness, I can't believe we're getting this much done. Yay. Well, it's funny when I'm doing this, something like this, I count, okay, there's 8. I'm working on number 6. That means I'm almost done. See, now remember, I'm going to scoot this up just a couple of threads so that black fabric underneath won't show through. I know I keep saying that, but it's a little trick I really like you to remember, so it just becomes second nature. And that's the nice thing about this, that in traditional piecing, that would never work, because it'd throw the size of your fabric off. I'm not letting you see the new fabrics, Laura, because you'll want me to buy a whole bunch. Oh, but the batiks are gorgeous. And remember, we talked about yellow batiks are not real common. And they have a ton of them. Just beautiful. So I'm excited about that. Do some kits. See, now I'm going to start number 7. That means I only have one more to do after that. Okay, let's see. Here we go. I've been doing a lot of driving the last couple days. Of course, I did drive all the way home from Virginia, but we went over, we're in Central Coast, California. We went over to the valley, met some friends, took some friends and met some friends, and did a little wine tasting. Send me pictures of that first block. I'm dying to see it. I posted, when I didn't know if we would be home in time today to do this, I did post a short video on starting the heart block, the crazy heart block. for those who missed it on Tuesday. So if you need a refresher or you didn't see it at all, want to see it, it is on the or on YouTube. I don't think I put a title on it, but it just posted. It was supposed to post at noon today, just in case I wasn't back. So I had to go up to the Bay Area this morning for a doctor's appointment for my husband. All is good. Yay. Oops. Little piece. Push that up. I'm going to work in the greenhouse. This is funny. We used to call it a catio. And my husband built me a catio, screened-in catio. And now our cats just live out in the front yard area. They stick around real close to home. And I decided to turn the catio into a greenhouse. So I bought plexiglass sheets for the walls to, cover the screen. And we're doing a like a plastic kind of coating, I don't know, a waterproof coating on the floor with drains in it. And got all that, so I'm getting ready to do that because I got a lot of my vegetables planted, but I have a lot more seeds to do. Around here, we're going to experiment. We have normally such a mild climate here that I'm going to grow. I did a little research and found that there are two types of tomatoes. They're called determinate and indeterminate, and the determinate ones, they all come ripe at the same time. Indeterminate can be grown year-round in the proper conditions, and usually we will have tomatoes till Thanksgiving, fresh tomatoes till Thanksgiving. Cherry tomatoes would probably keep going even longer. So we're going to do some seeds for some indeterminate tomato plants and keep a couple of the varieties in the greenhouse year-round and see if we can't have fresh tomatoes close to year-round. That would be fun. And we just finished the harvest for our avocados, and oh my gosh, do we have a ton of avocados. And we've got oranges growing, mandarin oranges, per my son's request. And a new herb garden. So I'm excited. We haven't been home the last few years enough to have much of a garden. So I'm like a little kid in a candy store. I'm so excited. Oh, and my berries. We grow Olala berries here. I think they're kind of exclusive to this area, the Watsonville area especially. And we have, our plants Actually, my caretaker said he's been picking a couple almost every morning to eat when he goes for his walk. So there's a pretty good crop going. We trimmed the bushes back last summer, way back, so they're not quite as prolific. And it's funny, the caretaker scolded me because while we were gone, he looked in my freezer, and there's bags, and of course, of berries, and they're dated. He goes, Mom, you have, he calls me Mom, you have berries from 2024 in there. And I said, I know, I hoard them for fear I'm going to use them all up and then not have any. So for Easter, I made a lullaberry pie, which was fabulous. Totally not on the diet, but some things you just don't care. Hey, look it, guys. I'm down to my favorite piece. Yay. Put that right there. Yay, 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 already. Okay, make sure everything's pressed well. And now I'm going to run my stitch in the seam allowance, hold everything down and in place. These fabrics are from my stash, and someday when it's all organized, I'm working on organizing it all. I have one room of fabrics for the business, and I have one room of my personal stash. And since this one is going to actually be for me, I went to my personal stash and pulled the fabrics. I love fall colors, so you know, I say I love fall colors, but I love the bright colors. It seems like no matter which palette I'm working with, I love them. I love them all. I love fabric. Let's face it. I love fibers. I tell the story when I do trunk shows and my little speeches. I have sewn my entire life, literally. I was a toddler sitting at my grandma's feet, watching her run a treadle machine, making doll clothes and all kinds of quilts, everything. And she taught me how to respect the sharp end of a needle at a very young age. Probably most parents wouldn't think that would be the thing to do, but I guess back then when you virtually sewed everything, that was part of homemaker's job. And she would give me the scraps, and I sewed doll clothes. Pretty crude, but it started my love affair with fabrics and thread and fibers of all kinds. I taught myself how to knit and crochet, cross stitch. I think if you, it just, if you like it, you like it, you know, any of it. And over the years, that has kept me occupied, kept my sanity. I rarely travel without yarn. I love to make scarves. I think this trip to Donald and Laura's is the first time I haven't actually worked on one. I wear them. I find, especially down here in the wintertime, I don't like to wear sweaters or jackets. And I try not to, I try to be very conservative with the heat. And if I wear a nice knit scarf, I'm very comfortable. So I do wear them a lot. Hey, you guys, we got number 2 done. Yay. Okay, I am going to sew this one on. Now, we want to keep these going in the same. I want my geese to fly around in a circle, so they're going to go just like that. Okay, and now you see with this border on over here, this is going to run the full width of the block. Get rid of that thread. And then the next one will go like this. And the last one will go like this and run into our one up there. Oh no, it's going to go like this. Sorry, they're going to go like that. You want to keep your geese going in the same direction. So I'm going to match the end here. And I just got a huge box of new clips and I put it out of reach. I'll make sure I have them here on Saturday. Get this set up a little better. Okay, now, little trick. I put a pin right here at this point. See where the line of stitching goes like that, and another line of stitching goes like that. And the seam line comes right in there to make a point. I put my pin in right there. And then I'm going to put my pin in right there. Right where those, I'm trying to do it through the camera. Well, just like that. And this is a little tip that pertains to traditional piecing as well. You want to hold it like that with the pin going straight through. Grab another pin and pin it like that. Because if you rock it like this, I'm moving the underneath fabric. It's slipping down. It's making it move. So that takes, sorry, if I rock the pin, this is a straight one. If I rocked it, it makes the underneath fabric go down a few threads, which will make your point off a little bit. And that pertains to traditional piecing as well as foundation. Okay, I think I'm going to match this up one more place. Keep my edges even. Okay. Yep, and once you get that love for fabrics and threads and fibers of all types, it doesn't leave you. I grew up having dreams of being a fashion designer, and circumstances changed. Love happened, and my husband he was in the country in a very, very, very small town of about 1,000 people. And of course, when we got married, there was no home computers, there was no such thing as the internet. There was really no way to build any kind of a fashion design career. And then, I mean, I always have sewn, but then I had one boy, and they're not a lot of fun to sew for. I did knit. I knitted him a lot of sweaters, and he loved wearing them. But not a lot of fashion. I went through a period where I did design and make some wedding dresses, and then hit up with a bride's, what is it? A bridezilla, is that what they call them? And decided that took all the fun out of it. So I did a lot more of like crafty things and more knitting and stuff like that. And then when my husband retired, I got to start sewing more. And a very good friend got me into quilting, and then I found paper piecing, and I loved the finished product, but I hated the method. I hated working with the paper. I hated everything about it except the final outcome. And in the meantime, we had developed a fabric printing company, did small run digital printing, and from that, I knew I could come up with something better to do. Let's see, we're going to press this seam allowance to the inside because we have all these intersections here. So we want to press them so they lay flat. And I will take this to the big ironing board at some point and give it a good pressing. But this will give you an idea. And I guess I didn't press the first one either. Oh, I think I'm gonna like this. Oh, yeah. And my idea for this was to embellish it just with embroidery stitches. No buttons or beads or anything because I want it to be flat. So if I set a glass on it, it's not going to tip it over or anything. This one is going to be heavily embellished because it's a wall hanging. So, and I've got lots on my notions board in the shows. I have a lot of patriotic type embellishing little kits. So we're going to use some of those and a bunch of buttons. And I found in my old studio that I haven't quite cleaned out yet, totally. Found a couple old yeah, these are old packages. I think I bought them in Tennessee years ago. You know it's old because it was a Ben Franklin. I don't know where, but anyway, they're red, white, and blue, the mini buttons, and some star buttons, and the American flag. Those will be on there. There's just all kinds of, I'll bring in the notion board and pull those out. And just as a reminder, this is my little hexie bowl that we're going to do next week, and I've got to finish stitching this together. And yes, um, I made each hexie on the machine and sewed the edging down on the machine, quilted them on the machine. But then I sewed them together by hand. When I do the next one, I'll show you. I'm going to do a little zigzag stitch around here and up the first section of all of these. But once you go to do these points, you can't do it on the machine. So at least I haven't found a way. If somebody else does, let me know. But this is the second size. There's one smaller that makes a great pin cushion. I think we're going to do that on next Tuesday. And then there's two larger ones. So that actually are more like a bowl. And you can put, the pattern comes with enough to put a lid on each one also if you want to do that. So anyway, this was my first one, so they'll get better as we go, and it is totally reversible, so you can put either way out. I do think I had intended to have the print side out. There we go. And they hold their shape, and I did not put any kind of special inside. I just put my normal batting in it, so it holds its shape really well. So we're going to have fun with that. And I have a couple very small table toppers, and the notebook, the journal. I got a case of these lovely journals I'll share with you next week. I think there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 10 in a case and 10 different colors. So it's going to be fun to color coordinate the cover with the color of the book. Very nice journal. So I'm excited to do that. And I think I have a couple other little small projects I want to show you, all done with hexies, either on the machine or by hand, whichever way you prefer. And I am not calling it English paper piecing, because it's not the same method as the English as English paper piecing is, but the outcome is exactly the same. So I don't want to confuse people and have them thinking that we're using templates and folding over and basting and hand sewing, whip stitching them. We do them with our foundation and do a running stitch and or on the machine, and they go much faster. I used to hand baste the hexies to the back side of the fabric, and then I found oh my goodness, I don't see a can over there. I think it's 505, some kind of basting spray. And I found, because I don't normally like to use any kind of fusible in my quilts because they'll be stiff. And this spray basting, when you steam iron your fabric with the spray basted foundation, the stickiness all goes away. So it doesn't make it stiff or brittle or anything like that. So I started using the basting spray, which then when I'm going to use the mini charms that I talked about, I laid out a grid with the hexies so that they're 2.5 inches apart. So you can just spray baste the whole foundation and then lay your fabrics out. And of course you can rearrange them. I mean, you don't need to rearrange them because you're going to end up sewing them all or cutting them all apart. But it makes it super quick, super easy, which I'm all into that. So I think that's probably going to do it for now. I'm going to go ahead and finish the other 2 borders tonight, and I will sew them on Saturday. And I'm hoping that I will have the 4 heart larger tabletop are done and the pattern done for that, so you can see it and it'll be available to purchase. And you know what? I just discovered I have to change something. This background needs to be changed to dark, and that's not going to be difficult. I'll just unstitch back a little ways and unstitch a little bit here, take this off and replace it with a dark one, and do the same up at the top before I make another mistake. So see, you're seeing my problems when I'm designing what we go through. Anyway, that will, and when I do the pattern, I will, for this, we have the pattern for this, but not with the dark on the outside and the light on the inside. So we'll include on the last page an alternate layout like this, and remind you so you don't do the same thing I did. But anyway, I think that's about it for today. Let me show you these other ones. This is my little heart one that I put out to celebrate Valentine's Day. And I don't know what happened to the legs to this stand. I don't know. And then this is the windows showing, kind of blocking that. I hope I don't knock everything over. But this is my little purple one. And I did embellish it. I fussy cut this piece so my butterfly would be there. And I put a little bit of some ribbon embroidery stuff, little lace, my grapes. This came on a trim, you know, long, it's long, they're all attached, so I just cut the one out. And then my buttons in the middle where you sew the button on, I just did some little seed beads, and that's all sewn down. And then I used that E6000 clear glue, and I just put just the tiniest drop on the back of these and laid them out half pearls. And I made this was my very first one. So it's a number of years old and has traveled to the shows with us, gets tossed around, something fierce. And everything's still on there. Nothing's come off. So that glue works great. Anyway, I think that's about it for today. I got to run. I got lots of pattern writing to do and stuff to get ready for you for Saturday. I will be here Saturday at noon. I hope you will be too. And if you have any questions you can think of in the meantime, let me know. You can send me a message or you can just wait till Saturday. And if there's something special you want to see, let me know that too. So until then, have a great rest of your day and a great Friday. We'll see you Saturday.